Welcome to the Life Lift Podcast, the podcast for the ambitious, the purpose-driven, and the ones who know they're meant for more. If you're ready to unlock the next version of yourself, you're in the right place.
Hey everyone, I'm Kaly.
And I'm Adam, and this podcast is for people who are done playing small. Whether you're building a business, rethinking your identity, or just craving more from life.
We're two friends, entrepreneurs and growth junkies who have built businesses, hit burnout, and found our way back to purpose. And now we're here to help you do the same, but faster, clearer, and without breakdown. Let's get started.
Hi and welcome to the Life Lift Podcast with your friends Adam and Kaly. It's so good of you to join us again today. Today we are going to be speaking all about creating your environment in which you can flourish, thrive and succeed, and also how to influence the culture that is around you so that you're in a fertilized area that you can grow and really live the life that you want to live. So I'm going to kickstart today by asking you, Kaly, how have you changed or adapted your environment and your culture that's around you to live a purpose-driven life?
So the way that I have audited my life, I guess, is being in certain environments or groups or settings and making an active note on how I feel. Like, am I uncomfortable? Do I feel belittled? Is there something in the air? Like even today, I was like, something's up, what's going on? Acknowledging that there's a shift in energy that you necessarily don't like. And equally, if there's a shift in energy, you're like, I'm so happy. Like, I love this. This is what life is about. Or I needed this. Even if this is just a Costa in Silverburn in the morning. So that's a big one, is how do you feel? And then make the changes towards that. So everything is saturated down to actually just what you need. Is that something that you would apply professionally as well?
Yeah, kind of. For me, it's not so much a feeling, it's more of what am I trying to build? So for me, like environment and culture, and as it relates to like what I'm building, is completely man-made. I'm making it. So like in my business, and this applies to my friends and also my home too, it all kind of filters down that way, but I create the environment that I want not only my employees to work in, but that I want to work in. So I'm sure you've had this where you've worked somewhere with somebody you really wish you didn't work with. Like they're like the mood hoover, you know, the Debbie Downer. And you would never choose to surround yourself with these people. But yet if you're, you know, quite a lot of time people think, well, I don't have the power to change her or remove the Debbie Downer. Yeah. But actually, as a human being, you do actually have more power than you think to control the environment that's around you. And so for me, I think about how I control the atmosphere and the temperature of the room. We've talked about this before, that I'm the thermostat, not the thermometer. Yeah. And it's the same kind of idea for me when it comes to environment and culture. Like the culture is, for me, it's the agreed behavior that everybody abides by, but no one talks about. Do you know what I mean? It's the rules. So like when you go into the Ritz or the Savoy or the Dorchester, for example, in London, you feel something tangible when you walk in. You feel that the atmosphere that's being created by the music, the decor, the staff, the way that they speak to you, the way they, you know, acknowledge you, all that is the environment. Yeah. It's completely man-made. It's just a ton of bricks, marble, uniforms, people, scent, flowers, whatever. But somebody has created that to make you feel a certain way. And so I apply that same logic to every part of my life. Whenever I go into a room, or if I'm doing a speech, or if I'm teaching a class, or if I'm having a team meeting with my team, I set the temperature of what's going to come. And that's me controlling my environment. Because if I've got something really positive, let's say, to bring to my team, and I want them to leave really uplifted, I'll make sure there's some really good music on. Like you guys, when we all set up in here today, there was some music on as everyone was setting up. It's not quiet. Like the lights are all on. The smell is good. Everywhere looks good. You know, I'm making sure that everyone's got tea and coffee. Everyone's got what they need. You know, showing. So, but that's building your environment so that when you come in, you can go, oh, so nice to be back.
This is what we're going to see,
right? We're ready to go. And so I apply that same logic to every part of my life. So whether it's my family, as we were just talking about there with your family, I have this thing where when people come here, they feel looked after, that they don't need to cook, that they don't need to go get a drink for themselves. Like, I want to look after people.
Hosting them, yeah.
Really hosting them. And as much as they totally feel at home here, you know, I always make sure that there's really good music on. If I'm wanting it to be more of a chilled out night, there'll be more chilled out music on. You know, if we're having drinks before dinner, there'll be something a bit more lively. It sounds so simple, but all these ingredients create an environment. And then, you know, the way I speak to them, the way I treat them, I hug, you know, a lot of people when they come to my house, or even with my team, I'll make sure I you know,
embrace them
and say, thank you for today. I really appreciate it. Or you look so good today. It's all to set them up well for the environment that we're about to create for our clients. So for me, when I think about culture and I think about environment, a lot of people say, well, I'm not the boss, so I can't influence
but
the
you're
way that
part of the jigsaw.
But you can. And a lot of the time, you got to really understand what it is that you're trying to build, and what are the, you know, we talk about the red flags and green flags, don't we, a lot?
Yeah.
Of what are the things that are acceptable and what are not acceptable in this area. So for me, if it's a team meeting, for example, and let's say most people's team meetings, you talk about negative stuff. Who didn't put the cups in the dishwasher? Who's coming to the team night out? Who's not done X, Y, or Z? That's typically what happens in a team meeting. Now, bearing in mind that a team meeting is usually one of the most valuable
investments,
pockets of time.
Yeah.
Because you've stopped your business. You're basically getting every employee to either join on a Zoom or physically be in one location. That means that the cost to have that team meeting is very, very high.
Yeah.
So why would you talk about all this negative stuff? And then always, usually, in my experience, when people have those meetings, they leave demoralized. They roll their eyes. Well, we all know who she was talking about. We all know who he was talking about when he was saying about this, right?
Oh, God.
And yet, nobody has created an environment that was conducive to us having a real team meeting that's going to be beneficial. Because for me, if I'm having a team meeting, I want people literally high-fiving on the way out. Like, we're going to do this. It's about setting the vision for the next chapter, or inspiring the team, or bringing something, even if it's a negative, but that we do it in such a way that it's reinforcing, that we're growing together. It's not, I'm pointing at you because you've done something wrong. It's, let's say Kaly did this week, and just so we all know, that's created this opportunity for us to learn from that. Thanks very much for that. You know, I know it was painful for you to go through. That's growth mindset, right? We talked about this in another episode. So, but that's the power of creating the culture and the environment, because every time I do that team meeting now, the culture says, that's how our team meetings are.
Yeah.
We don't have negative team meetings.
And they're excited
that's
about
culture.
it.
Versus the environment is that physical experience that people are going to get. So for me, culture and environment go hand in hand, because it's not only what people expect to happen, and then it does, but it's also controlled by usually the most influential people in the room. And that doesn't always have to be the leader. So you as a business owner, me as a business owner, I expect people in my team to participate in team meetings.
Yeah.
Our team meetings are like, yeah, all the time. I love it, right? Because it's so much fun. And we might disagree. Sometimes there might be tears. There might be good tears, bad tears, who knows? But it's always a moment where everyone looks forward to, because we always have lunch beforehand. We eat as we go. And then it's always ended on a real positive note.
Yeah.
But that's taken months and months and months of teaching that expectation, or teaching the team what to expect, so that now, even if I'm not there, the team meeting's exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the power of creating an environment and creating a culture. So for me, like when I think about hotels, if you think about like the Melia, for example, in London, they have this iconic smell when you go in. The Dorchester always has this massive bouquet of flowers as you first go in. Like, it's something that you remember about the place that doesn't change.
Yeah.
That for me is what everybody can do, whether it's a family or if it's with work. You can do things in your life that actually add to the environment, but you have to be consistent to do them. If that
Why
makes
is it
sense.
important?
It's important because life, for one, is too short. Why do you want to work somewhere that's got a negative atmosphere or a negative culture?
Yeah.
If it's a friendship group, why does it always revolve around alcohol? For example, that's a culture that you've created.
There's a huge culture in Scotland, because people think it's weird. I remember when I stopped drinking, it was after my first pregnancy. Everyone was like, oh, you're pregnant. I said, it's going to be the longest pregnancy, because there's no baby coming. Like, yeah, obviously I fell pregnant after my first, but even now, like when I'm like, okay, I'll drive. They're like, oh, why? It's the weirdest thing in Scotland to not drink.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing.
Because that's the culture.
But what, I'm just much more of a Pilates and matcha kind of girl now.
Yeah.
I'm getting old.
But I think this is the point, isn't it? Is that, you know, you've got to actually break that habit and that cycle to create your new environment and your new culture. So for me, I think it's important because you get to shape the trajectory and the environment in which you put yourself in. If you're in an environment that's toxic, you have a choice. Do I change it? Do I leave it? Or do I stay in it? And really the choice is up to you.
Yeah. And what you choose, what you don't change, you choose. Is that the saying?
Yeah.
What you don't change, you choose. But I think it's important to also have that environment so you can grow.
Yeah.
Because like you're saying, you spent months and months and months investing that culture and then like teaching them almost the language. And then now you can take a step back and it's kind of the momentum is growing for you, or that snowball effect is going for you.
Definitely.
So then you can focus on the next group that you're teaching their language and then that grows and then you go and go. Whereas when I'm looking at it from a personal setting, it's that I don't ever want to, because time is so precious when you're busy. I don't ever want to be saying yes to an environment that I just would much rather be alone at home. And I don't mean that because I'm a loner or a loser, but there's groups that you say you used to, because I don't say yes anymore. I used to say yeah to, and I'd be driving to it like, why am I going to this thing? Why am I suffering this time? And that's what I mean by listen to your intuition, listen to how you feel. Like if that group is no longer providing for you, then it's okay to step away from that. Because I would much rather be in my own company than in that company, whether it's negative because of alcohol, drugs is a big thing, or I don't want to be sitting around talking about people. I want to be talking about ideas. And if you're always with this same group and they're talking about people and it's toxic, and I just feel like I have nothing more to give or put in, then I just slow go. So I just slowly start coming away from that, because my environment is, I want it to be calm and peaceful and sacred. And I know that's not always the case. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not walking around like Mother Teresa. Like, I have my moments of I'm angry, and I felt like a couple of weeks ago I really stumbled. I was like missing class. I was making the wrong choices when I was eating, and it's okay to have those moments. You just give yourself grace and start again. But when you're talking about culture, Pilates is a big one. Like when you enter the Pilates studio, you just know we don't speak during class, we don't grunt, we don't swear, we're poised, we hold in our pelvic floor, and this is what we do. Equally, when you go into like a weightlifting gym, it's okay to be like rah, oof, and like loud music, and that's just the culture that you create. So your environment could be whatever you want it to be. And I think that's the biggest thing from today is school was just you surviving your environment, but life, adulthood is you thriving in your environment that you get to create.
Yeah, and creating it. I think that's the biggest thing, is that you get to choose every aspect of your life. Nobody is stuck. And a lot of people, I've had this a lot when I teach like a session or I've done a speech, and they'll say, yeah, but you know, if I had a different job, or if I had a different life, or if I had what she had. But the thing is that you can have that.
It, yeah.
You just need to change your environment. You know, you're never going to be a world-class athlete if you're going to McDonald's every night and you're not doing any physical activity and you're surrounded by people that do the same.
And you don't
It's
read.
not going to happen. You know, we were talking just while we were setting up for this episode, weren't we, about like the sportsman mindset.
Yes.
About Rory McIlroy, about like basketball players. They are not hanging around with people that are in a mindset that's going to detract from who they are.
No, they are on their A game.
Exactly.
Always.
Because you have to be. And I think discipline is a really big part of this. And we've talked about this a few times through the different episodes. But for me, I think it's really important today more than ever to have discipline over the trajectory of your life is really in your hands. Like you can choose to be disciplined or you can choose to not to be. And it's the easiest thing in the world to watch Netflix after work, you know, get a takeaway on the way home,
Crisps.
get McDonald's, crisps, snacks. And don't get me wrong, I like a bag of crisps too. Do you know what I mean? I like a glass of wine on the weekend too. But at the same time,
it's not every day though.
It's not every day. And believe me, like I've gone through those phases where I was doing it every day.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt the effects of drinking every day and having snacks every day. And
But have you heard of the choose your heart? Choose your heart.
I don't think I have.
So you can do I'm drinking every day and I'm having crisps while I'm cooking dinner every day, okay? And that is easy in that you get a release, but it's hard in that you feel rubbish about yourself and you're putting on weight and clothes don't fit right, and that's hard. Then you have the other dynamic, which is that you're disciplined and you only really drink alcohol once a week and your crisps are like a treat and you're more disciplined with what you're eating throughout the day. But the pro is that you feel incredible, you sleep well, your mind is clear, your clothes fit right, you just look good and you look healthy. That's also hard. They're both hard. You just got to choose your heart and see when you put it that way. If it's a no-brainer, obviously I want to feel and look incredible. So if I'm going to struggle either way, why don't I just choose this hard instead of that hard? Because I was the same postpartum between baby 1 and baby 2, pre-baby 1 and post-baby 2, I put on 5.5 stone. I was miserable, like absolutely miserable. There was only 3 things I could wear. Any event I was invited to, I'd be like, oh my God, no, I can't be bothered. If we were taking photos, I would always be the one taking the photo. And that was hard. That was really, really hard. Like I didn't like my reflection. I didn't have a good self-esteem. But the pro was that I could eat whatever I wanted. I could eat whatever I wanted. If I wanted a bag of chocolate buns, I could have it. And then I switched the mindset, which is I can have, my treat is the cola jelly bellies. I love them. I have like 3 a day.
You're obsessed with these.
I'm obsessed with them. But I'm very disciplined. I meal prep, I fast, I track my cycle. I know when I can do 3-day fast, when I can do 24-hour fast. I'm very, very disciplined from that aspect. And that is hard. I don't drink alcohol. I choose when I'm going out for my meals. I'm very specific about who I say yes and no to. But I get to live every single day feeling my best sexy self. I would much rather this hard, the 5 a.m. alarm clocks, than the hard I was in a year ago this time, last year, where I could sleep till I was ready to wake up, grudge getting out of bed, eat whatever I wanted whenever I wanted, but like lived a miserable life than this way. I get so many DMs of people being like, do you have any advice or motivation about how to get started? I'm really feeling like in a rut. Just change one thing. Just change one thing. Why don't you just reduce sugar? Don't stop it, just reduce sugar. And there's loads of mindset retreats that you can go on. I went on one in May. And even just being around people that want to change gives you the encouragement that you're not weird for wanting to change something. Everybody's in the same boat, especially in this little funk and like your 30s to 40s. It's like, you're halfway. I genuinely believe in midlife crises. You don't have to be reckless, but there is a moment in your life where you go, what am I doing this for? What's it all for? What is the meaning of, what is the purpose? Like, we go through the whole of school and you're always given a goal. You got to get your exam results. You got to get into uni. When you got to graduate, now you have a job, you pay your taxes. And then you get to the point where nobody's setting your goal anymore. And then you have this crisis. You're like, whoa, what am I doing here? And that's when you got to choose your heart. And in choosing your heart, you create your environment. You create your people. You audit the feelings around you, whether it's the music that you're playing, what you're feeding your body, what you're feeding your mind, how you're speaking about yourself is a big one. I have so many patients that come in, they're like, I am so ugly. Like, look at this photo of me and my double chin and don't take a photo of that. And I think if you were my friend and you spoke to me like that, we would not be friends for long. So why are you speaking to yourself like that? Be mindful of how you speak to yourself and about yourself. I make a point every single day. I have 2 showers, morning and nighttime, of standing in the shower and saying one thing that I like about myself. And I say it out loud. So I'll say, I have a good pedicure. Even though it's man-made, but if I really struggle to find something that I like, so I'm going through it, I'll just say it out loud. And if I'm feeling really good, I'll be like, I have an incredible body that made me 2 babies and managed to bounce back. And just say it out loud every single day. I have hair that's growing finally on my head. Say it out loud. Like, you just change one thing. Be mindful of how you speak to yourself and about yourself as well. Or when somebody gives you a compliment, don't just follow it up with a joke. Your brain doesn't know the difference between truth and false. So like, if somebody says to me, you look so good today, and my automatic response used to be like, oh, thanks, it's just makeup. No, it's not. Just say thank you. Thank you. Full stop. And that's really difficult because we're in an environment where if you acknowledge or receive compliments, you're arrogant. No, it's not. It's self-respect. I've given you when I give you a compliment, I expect it to land the way I want it to intend, which is, you look really healthy today. I don't need an explanation why.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know you look healthy today.
Yeah.
And it's just changing that culture. And I think it is hard because we live in an environment in Scotland, especially, where you got to take the piss out of yourself and you got to drink alcohol, and you can't be. And you know, when people are like, "Oh, I did that. Oh, did you? Like, we are living in that environment, but in your private moments, celebrate yourself. Celebrate your little wins. Give yourself a little high five.
I think do it in public too, though. I'm very much a believer that.
Do you high five yourself in the mirror like Mel Robbins?
I don't do that.
I say you're a bad bitch.
Connor says I think very highly of myself, and I take that as a compliment.
That is a compliment.
Because do you know what? What's the alternative?
Hate
that
yourself.
I feel bad about myself.
Yeah.
And I think life is too short for that. Do you know what I mean? And so I think, have I got it all figured out? Absolutely not. Have I achieved everything I want to do? No. Have I messed up tons of stuff? Yes. But at the same time, I surround myself with people that are my cheerleaders.
Yeah, always.
And I don't want people in my life that are going to detract from that. And that's what I mean about creating your environment. You know, you are able to choose, and you know, everything that we're talking about right now is so valuable. I wish I knew this 20 years ago.
Same. I'm going to teach this to my kids.
Yeah, because I'm teaching to my kids just now, because like we do live in a society where it's be good but not too good. Mm-hmm. Do enough but don't do too much. Celebrate yourself but not
don't be
too
arrogant
much.
about it.
Don't be arrogant about it. You know,
be successful but don't
not
be
be too successful. Yeah,
so
you know,
true.
and actually, I think the best way for me to live, and I can only apply this to myself, and hopefully this inspires other people, is I'm going to live the way I want to live, in the way that I don't hurt anybody, and I'm not a horrible person. As long as those two things, I can go to sleep at night and say I'm a good person. Not everyone has to like me, but I like me, and I've done some good today. Then I think you have to go forward and surround yourself with people that think that way. You know, all of my friends, like when we're together, I always feel good when we spend time together.
Dude,
always.
I like you.
Well, thank you, I like you too. But I don't have friends that I don't like.
Yeah,
Do you know
you
what I'm saying?
shouldn't.
Exactly. But so many
But I
people
used
do.
to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And this is my point. This is why I'm saying, like, I think I wish some people, I wish I learned this 20 years ago, because a lot of the time we think we should because we have to be, because otherwise we're not nice. But actually, life is too short. You have to choose the life that you want, and then create the environment for which that can happen.
Yeah.
You know, I have a gate on my house. And the reason that there's a gate on my house is because I only invite people up here that are invited. If you're not invited, you don't get in.
I love that. Is that why you put your gate up?
It is. And I tell you why, it's because people used to come up the driveway, try and sell me stuff.
Okay.
People that don't really, I have friendship with, would just drop in. And it was only to come and see what the house was like or whatever.
They're just being nosy.
I have no interest. So I put gates on. And in life, I think it's kind of quite metaphorical in many ways of how I now view my life, in that I get to choose who comes through the gate.
Yeah.
And what's on the inside of that is really good.
Protected. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's also really, really good. And it's only going to be good if I make it that way and keep inviting the right people into that mix. And so when I go to work, my business is an extension of me. It's part of what's inside that wall. Anybody that comes into my business, I've got to like them. Because if I don't like them, I can't work with you. You can have the best skills in the world. If I don't like you, we ain't going to get along. You're not going to help me build my dream. And, you know, all my employees are there to help build the vision. All my friends are there to be my cheerleaders and me be their cheerleaders.
Yeah.
You know, as I know we chat about business and different ideas that we've got. I do that with people that I trust, because I know they're not going to go, are you crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Or
you couldn't do that. You know, I want to be around people that say, you can totally do this. Well, how are we going to get there? Where do we need to go to find this stuff? Or what conference do we need to go to meet that person?
Let's do it. Yeah.
That's the power of building
Say
an
less,
environment.
friends.
Yeah.
Say less, let's go.
And so I think when it comes to building your culture for your life and building your environment in which you're going to grow, you have to think, what is it that I want out of my life? I want to be happy. That's number one. And I'm sure everyone would agree that that's probably the number one thing for everybody.
Yeah, always.
Number two is I want to build some really cool stuff. And then number three is I want to be a great dad. You know, those, and a great husband. Those four things are what's most important to me. And so my environment that I create, because I see myself as the nucleus and everything around me, and you'll be your nucleus. You know, you listening to this in your car or wherever it is that you're listening to this podcast, you are the center of your own universe. So create your own universe. You know, be the master of your own destiny. Don't leave it to someone else to dictate the color that your life should be. You know, you be the one. And so this is why, as it relates for me to family, I don't have family come to my house that I don't like. And some of my family have a problem with that, and I don't care because it's my house.
Yeah.
You know, as it comes to my work, I have a locked door, same as you at The Secret. Sales reps don't get through that door if they don't have an appointment because they're not invited. You know what I'm saying? And because I only want people to come, my employees, I only hire the people that I feel that want to do something special. You know, and so, and then the mixture of all that together means that for me in my life, in my shoes, I'm surrounded by people that are going in my direction. And that gives me a great sense of happiness. You know, so I think as you're listening to this, I would think, are there areas of my life that I'm not happy in? If I had to answer that question, I would say yes. There are still areas in my life that I'm not fully happy. Like I'd love to be fitter. So I'm starting to go back to the gym. But I have a friend that I text and we meet up and we call it going to the spa. But we actually do go to the gym, but we do go to the spa as well. But like she's like, what's that?
You're not going to get fit that way. Come to Reformer with me.
Yeah.
I'll be that friend.
Yeah, exactly. But like, if I want to get fit, I need a friend who's going to say, Adam, go and get in a little, you know, jacuzzi time and a little chin wag. It's not going to get you fit. So, you know,
I'll see
this is why like your environment is so important. So I think I can only speak for myself and what I've done to create the environment I have, but I've got to be honest and say, people don't have to like it. You have to like it.
Yeah.
And then do those things.
And that's the most important part. So that's the takeaway from today.
Totally. Yeah.
My takeaway from today would be, you got to know what you want your environment to be.
Yeah.
And then it starts in here. And then from there, you create your little pieces in your hive. You think of yourself as a nucleus. I think of myself as the bee and all my little hives. And nobody better sacrifice the queen, because we talk about that in another episode as well. But yeah, if you've taken anything away from today, it's really figure out what your environment should be, how you want to live your life, find your purpose. And then from there, change your mindset, make shift happen, and then you can create your little bees in your hive. So if you learned anything from today, please like, subscribe, share, and join us again for more life-lifting episodes. Can't wait to speak again. Bye.
See you soon. This is the Life Lift podcast with Adam and Kaly, where we look at how to make shift happen. From our home to yours, we hope you feel inspired and motivated to do at least one thing differently today as you make your own shift happen towards a more rewarding and fulfilling life filled with purpose and happiness.